Yeah, so Dreion is a singer-songwriter, performing artist, originally from Omaha, Nebraska. I am a husband, I am a father, and I am a survivor of the foster care system as well.
Okay. So tell me about your foundation, the foundation that you have that is dedicated to support the foster care youth who are also trying to transition out of the system. So tell me about that foundation.
So yeah, so for me, I was placed in the foster care system at the age of 6. I was taken from my mother for her disciplining me publicly, and that moment changed my life. Going into the system and being taken, waking up in a home that I recognized, and going to bed that night in a stranger's house. It changed my life forever. And I was in the system for about 6 months, but in that time I was in 5 different foster homes. I was on 7 different medications. I was tested on in psych wards and so many different crazy things that I went through. Mm-hmm. And during that time, for me, the foundation that kept me going was God and music, because that's all I had. That's mm-hmm. all I could rely on. That's all I really, knew. And being so young and in a situation like that, I didn't know what else to do with all the craziness happening. So that's how the foundation of me being in the foster care system started.
Okay, so tell me about being American Idol. What was your experience as being on American Idol?
As a child, I used to watch American Idol with my grandparents. A lot of times, my grandmother would always say to me, "You're gonna be on there. You're gonna be on that show. One day we're gonna be looking at you on that television screen." And as I got older and I pursued, music and went to college and things, the opportunity came up. I think I auditioned for American Idol a couple times before, the last time I was on it. And this last time was, an incredible life-changing experience. Now having the opportunity to be on the show, to make it, to meet the judges, and I got to meet Lionel Richie, one of the pillars of my childhood, and as a singer, as a piano player, all of his music has been a foundation for me, especially the song "Jesus Is Love." Mm-hmm. And that was the song that I actually auditioned with, and actually performed in front of Lionel and got his great feedback. So it was an incredible experience to be there, to meet the judges, to the whole experience. The whole television experience is crazy, because there's so much that happens behind the scenes. There's so much going on. It was a different world for me. And it was just an incredible experience to have the opportunity to be featured on a show that I grew up watching, listening to, seeing so many people that I admire win and come off of that show and then go into their career. So it was just a full circle moment for me.
Okay, so you also have done an open for Earth, Wind, and Fire. So how was that? What was that experience like?
So I just finished my run with Earth, Wind, and Fire on tour, opening for them this past June. And again, it's one of those surreal moments. The people that you listen to growing up, listening to my grandparents, my grandfather played all kinds of funk, but especially Earth, Wind, and Fire. Mm-hmm. So to be in front and listen, and get wisdom from and perform for and open and get feedback from these individuals that you have listened to your entire life is just surreal. And it was my first tour. And so to be able to say that, my first tour opening for Earth, Wind, and Fire, that's just incredible. And I learned so much, mm-hmm. There's the thrill and the excitement of being there, but I learned so much about tour life, about being in the music industry, about the timeliness, about the professionalism, about the being humble, remaining humble. Because even Earth, Wind, and Fire, 50 years in the game, are still great human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I admire that so much about them, that they weren't so like, oh, get out of my face, get out of my space. They were very opening. They were welcoming. They were, we could ask whatever questions we wanted. They shared their space with us and considered us family. And I'm just so grateful to them for that incredible opportunity. And me partnering with them, with Philip Bailey's foster care organization, and having that opportunity to do that as a former foster youth kind of brought things full circle with that as well. Now I'm, after the traumatic life experiences that I've had in the foster care system, now I get to share my story and tell people on a greater platform, what I lived through and how we can now fix it by me telling my story and encouraging other foster youth to tell their story through this amazing opportunity.
Well, because so many foster cares youth have experienced neglect, abuse, or violence that can probably lead to mental health, what would be your advice, your inspiration advice to those foster care youth that are going through that and need an outlet? What would you say to them?
I was asked this question before, and I thought that it was really, really important to let foster youth, former foster youth, don't be afraid to get help. Don't be afraid to go to counseling. I myself currently right now am in counseling to deal with the post-traumatic stress that I had to deal with from that part of my life, and trying to piece myself together as a husband, as a father, trying to raise a family, but still dealing with the residuals of the residue of what I lived through. So I would definitely say, it's very, very hard and difficult sometimes, because in the foster care system, I was taken advantage of even by the counselors, even by the therapists. Mm-hmm. But I had to kind of bite the bullet and find that trust again to help me, to help myself, so that I can come out and tell my story and feel not ashamed, but proud of what I lived through, what I survived, and being able to have the testimony to say I lived through it. I didn't, I made it through that circumstance, and now I have an opportunity to help others do the same thing. So I would definitely say, don't be afraid to get help, and don't be afraid to get help early. I wish I would have gotten help so much sooner, even before having, children, because, it really, really helps as a parent to have your traumas healed before raising children, so you don't share those and pass those on to them. But, it's a blessing now that I'm still able to get that help now as well.
Right. Okay, so as being a music artist, is there someone out there that you would like to collaborate with that you haven't already?
Woo! There really are so many that I would like to collaborate with. But one in particular that I've been trying to collaborate with is my auntie Sheila E. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love Sheila E. and I love Prince, and I love that entire era, especially the Prince camp. And Sheila E. is just she's been a huge inspiration and somebody that I've been blessed to meet and have a relationship with, but we haven't gotten a chance to collaborate. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hoping to be able to one day to be able to do that. There's something that I'm trying to put in the works now to try to work with her. And I'm really, really hoping that I can open that door, because just to be a part of that Prince legacy for me is just a mind blowing again. It's so surreal, and I would love for that collaboration to happen.
So now this is a question I gotta ask you. Now, besides yourself, who is your favorite artist, music artist?
Okay, so I consider this my holy trinity. Okay, so James Brown, Prince, Michael Jackson.
Mhm.
Those are like my holy trinity. They make up who I am as an artist. Those are the ones that I emulate, that I, create my shows and my performances after. I mean, and they've taught me everything that I know about performance and writing music and creating music from afar.
Mhm.
And that is it for me. Those three
Okay.
are the ones.
Okay, so out of all of those three, what are your favorite songs? What favorite song out of all the three? Give me a favorite song.
So James, for me, James Brown, my favorite one is Sex Machine, and I have an arrangement of that I do with my band as
Mhm.
a tribute to him that I always do on my show. So Sex Machine for me is my favorite James Brown song.
Mhm.
My favorite Prince song is I would have to say I Feel for You.
Okay.
And not the Shaka Khan version, not the Shaka, but the original version that he originally did before he did it with Shaka Khan. I
Okay.
just love that song
Mhm.
by Prince.
Okay.
And then for Michael, oh, this is a hard one because Michael has a lot that I really love. But for Michael, my favorite one would probably be Working Day and Night.
Mhm.
Uh, it's so funky. It's so funky, and and I love the way he does it live.
Mhm.
It's even greater live. So those would have to be my favorite songs from those artists.
So, who inspired you to be a singer? How did you come to be a singer?
You know, um, I will have to say my Uncle Keith. He is like a father figure and a spiritual father. Um, he's not a singer, but he's a gospel rapper, and he's a writer and a drummer. And
Uh-huh.
he was my first musical inspiration, and he was the first superstar that I ever saw in person and
Mhm.
went to concert. And he would have these concerts, and he would have these just amazing shows that I just would absolutely love. But the first place I saw him perform was church. And
Mhm.
so, for me, watching him, going to church specifically to watch him play, I got to see the preacher preach, and I got to see the choir sing, and that kind of opened that up for me. Like, oh, I don't only want to just play the drums, but I like what they doing. I like how the preacher's singing and preaching, and I like. So for me, it was my Uncle Keith that kind of opened the door, but it was the church environment and that foundation for me that really pushed me into wanting to sing.
So, how did you feel to have one of your songs to be featured in a film? Tell me about that.
That was another just wow. Just I always wanted to have my music a part of movies and commercials and things like that, and part of the sync licensing world. And I didn't quite know how to go about that or how to do it. But again, another incredible opportunity. Coming from my foster care story, I had released my first project in 2020 called I Am Life, and that's my project and album. And, I sent it to some foster care organizations, and I said, hey, I'm a foster care survivor. This is, my album that's telling my story, and I would love if you could feature this anywhere. And that organization, Mixed Roots Foundation, said, oh, actually, we know a foundation that we partner with that's doing a movie.
Mhm.
And being, I didn't know the magnitude of it, but they sent my music to the producers of the movie, and they told me actually that they opened they had closed all of the final edits for the movie, and they opened it back up just to add my music to it. So it warmed my heart to be a part of the movie Foster Boy, which directly had to do with my foster care story. But it felt even better to hear the magnitude of which it was used, because it was produced by Shaquille O'Neal, and it was telling the story of a young foster boy that I had so much in common with. So it was like watching myself on a screen, but hearing my music with it. It's like, oh my goodness. And then it was featured on Amazon and BET, and oh my goodness. I mean, it just went far beyond my expectations.
So what would your advice be to someone who is really going through something right now? They don't know which way to go, which way to turn. They don't even have an outlet, but they are experienced traumatized.
Right. As I was going to say, the wound is the place where the light shines through. So in those darkest moments for me, my light was God and music. It was singing to myself sometimes alone. You know, it was praying. It was having something to look forward to when people didn't give me anything to look forward to. It was wow. It was finding the courage to say, no, I'm not going to listen to what they're telling me. Because I was being told I wasn't going to make it. I was being told I wasn't going to graduate. I was being told I was never going to see my family again. You know, I even at the age of 6, I was stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
I was stubborn. And I said, okay, no, this is what I want. This is what I want to see. This is what I want to happen. And I still pushed through and allowed, you know, I wasn't old enough to understand everything that was happening around me, but I knew enough to say what I didn't like and what I didn't want. And so for foster youth that are being taken from their, or for youth that are being taken from their homes and having to be put in a foster care system, one thing I want them to know is that it is going to be okay. You can survive. You can make it. And that's why I am here, to tell my story so that people know that you don't just become a statistic after being in the foster care system or after aging out. You are not a statistic. You are a human being. You have purpose. You have so much life to live, and you have the ability to control that. You know, there's another thing that I love that says, those that say they can and those that say they can't are both right. Mm-hmm. As long as you tell yourself that you can, you will, you can do, you will. And so that's what you have to focus on, is that you cannot focus on the hardships, the difficulties, because those are going to be there. Those are going to happen. But it's how you respond to them. It's how you step to them and how you allow yourself to walk through them so that you come out on the other end greater, stronger, and able to do what I'm doing right now, mm-hmm. telling your story so that somebody else can do it as well.
Mm-hmm. So what's next for you?
So what's next for me, I just finished my first tour with Earth, Wind & Fire, and I'm working on new music for my album that I'm looking to release called I Am Love. And I'm so excited because I'm also working on new music with Bootsy Collins. Mm-hmm. And he has a campaign, a nonviolence campaign that's called Funk Not Fight. And he's doing an entire album around that. And I'm a part of that album, spreading nonviolence amongst the world, amongst youth, amongst our communities, to bring, you know, music to the forefront and not violence. So I'm super excited because we're working on that album, and I'm working on new music myself. And we're even talking about a tour as well with that entire campaign. So there's some great things there. I'm also working on a European tour as well. There's some foster care organizations that I work with overseas in London that I'm looking to go and speak to and to work with, as well as doing some music festivals over in Germany and some other places. So, you know, there's a lot of exciting things going on. And Earth, Wind & Fire even said that they want to do some more dates. So there's just so many exciting things. I'm very, very excited and grateful for the kind of opportunities that I've been blessed to have. And I'm just thankful that I am, you know, still here to tell my story and to continue to share it. And the last thing that I probably will be working on as well is a documentary, just to tell my story, to tell the work that I'm doing with Earth, Wind and Fire, the foster care community, and to really share, you know, what's happening and what's going on within these foster care systems, so that people
It
are
needs to be
aware and
told.
know it needs to be told, so that, you know, so that there's a voice for these youth. Because the reason why they get passed up so many times is because they don't have a voice. Somebody
Right.
has to speak for them. And I feel that I've been put on this earth to be that voice.
Well, I want you to continue to strive. I want you to continue to use your voice. I want you to know your light is bright, it's on, it's shining on you. And I want you to continue to push. Continue to be there for those who need you and who need to know the story and need that support system.
Yep. My name is Dreion, and I am branching out.
All right. Thank you, Dreion. Continue to tell your story, okay? Because it needs to be told. It needs to be heard. Things needs to be heard, okay? I am so proud of you to have the strength and the courage to be able to go out and tell your story.